Hi there, my name is Alex Asher. I'm the CEO of LearnCube, and I'm with Herbert Gerzer of herbertgerzer.com. He's a digital marketing specialist focused on language education, language educators, language schools, but also tutoring companies as well. So he's got a great range, but also focused, hopefully, on the same market that you are. And likewise, my experience comes from helping so many language schools and tutoring companies across the world. Fortunately, I'm in a great position to see the best, best practice. And so again, I try and communicate some of that and share that with you. Today, we're going to be starting to take some questions. So if you're listening in live, then please start popping those into the Q&A. We've got one from Josh, though, so I'm going to start by bringing him up to the front. His question is, do you have any advice on conducting initial market research when getting started, e.g. to figure out how much demand there is for my niche? Really good question. I think you might have even been at the language show, which I was talking at the other day, because I was talking a lot about niches, and I think I might even be familiar with that name. So, Herbert, this is a perfect question since everybody needs to get this right.
Right. Finding that niche, and I guess once you have an idea of what the niche is, obviously, doing some market research, seeing what other companies and language schools or tutoring companies are out there providing the same service, and I guess testing the waters a bit. One, by maybe creating a very simple landing page just to captures people's interest and to see what offers stick, whether that be your one-on-one courses or group classes or these monthly clubs or whatever it is that you're offering. And then trying to go out in the marketplace and get some feedback on if this is really what people want. You can do that through organic ways, possibly going to Facebook groups and in your niche and talking to them, providing feedback or answers to their questions that they have in that group, and then presenting your offer to see if it is interesting to them. Or you could do it the paid way and run some minimal or some small campaigns through, say, Facebook and Instagram to see if you are getting some bites and people interested in what you're offering. And you can measure that through clicks and obviously people visiting your website and even people messaging you or filling out a contact form to get more information. I don't know if you have any suggestions, Alex.
What's really important is to figure it out early, and that means test before you're ready. Like I think, let me start on what not a good strategy is, and that is building a beautiful website, maybe spending thousands of dollars on a website, trying to work on your, because the thing is, as teachers as well, I know that you'll love to spend some time on materials and branding and all the stuff that's actually, it's really low risk because it feels safe. It feels something that you can do alone, and no one's judging by voting with their wallets. But doing what Herbert says in terms of creating a landing page before you're ready, I think is the most critical way that you can get early feedback and validate what you've got. And then Herbert, we've even done some great webinars previously, which we've recorded on the LearnCube YouTube channel, but we've talked about those, and you can use those ads, push people to your web page or a landing page. And look, if people hit the pay button, you've got a business. If people don't hit the pay button, you've got visitors. So that's a good way of kind of getting some initial interest. Yeah, I think one last thing I would say though, Herbert, is definitely look around. If I think competitors can be a good sign or a bad sign as well. Sometimes it's a good sign because then people have validated that market, and you might have something that's going to give you that edge. But typically, quality educate, like saying that you're a quality tutor is usually not enough. You need to have something that is unique or different, and it can either be unique in the product, unique in the business, unique in the service you deliver, unique in the experience. There's got to be something there that helps you stand out.
Yeah. or really niching down.
Yeah.
Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. You might have connections to a certain market, region, or country, or a certain student group, whether that be
Yeah.
teenagers, kids, adults, business professionals, finance people, whatever that is. Find that niche and double down on your strengths and what you already have experience in.
Great. Well, thank you, Joe. Are we going after the HR? Are we going after the IT kind of department? Are we going after the department heads?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's quite an interesting question. How do you feel about answering that component there, Herbert?
Sure. I love B2B. I come from a B2B background, and especially in terms of language training, that's a difficult segment at the moment. As you probably know, a lot of companies have cut their training budgets or put training as a whole on hold. So. It's been quite challenging to get in front of those decision makers at companies, whether it be the HR manager, the training and development manager, or the heads of department, and even the CEO or the owner in small to medium-sized companies. But if you have a fantastic USP like having LearnCube, then that makes your job a little easier. Getting in front of them. I'm sure this language school has probably used more traditional methods in the past, whether that be cold calling, emailing, or just using their personal connections to get in front of those decision makers. What I've found in the past working with language schools in B2B, a LinkedIn strategy can be quite effective just to get your foot in the door and to get that first meeting. So using your personal LinkedIn profile, basically like a mini landing page for your school, and connecting with or reaching out to these HR managers at these companies in your area or wherever you're targeting. And you don't want to sell to them immediately. I think a lot of people do that, and I'm sure most people have had their inboxes spammed in the last year or two on LinkedIn with people just trying to sell right out from the gate. So you really want to establish a connection, build rapport through, asking questions about, how is the training going? Are your employees, are they facing challenges in English and Spanish or whatever it is that they should be learning, and then building that relationship. And really the goal is to get that meeting, to get that phone call to present your school to them.
I like that, Herbert. I'll probably just add a little bit to it. I think the key thing is kind of what Herbert was saying on showing you can add value. And one of the things I was thinking on there, Herbert, was if you do the first task, choose your market well, the rest of it becomes a lot easier.
Right.
Because if your market is really general, then you're going in with a very general comment. And actually, it either becomes spammy or just completely ineffective. So if I was like, if I go to a business and go, hey, you're a business, you must want business English. Heard it a million times, buddy. But if your focus is on, let's say it was on, for this example, legal business English. First of all, then people also worry, I don't have all day to prospect. I mean, first of all, that's part of the job is prospecting. But secondly, you can actually create what seems like a really personalized message to a particular company, but it's not taking you a long time because you're like, well, my niche is legal business English. So if I look up all the law firms, then I can say a fairly similar message, but I would have some X factor, make sure that, you've got to at least have seen their page if you really want to be relevant. So be like, hey, I noticed you're in my area, you're a law firm, and I see you've got over 200 customers and are talking about how international your team is. Wow, it sounds like you might have international team members that maybe not as familiar with some of the business legal English terms that are from the US. I actually specialize in this, and I don't want to sell you anything. You might not say I don't want to sell you anything, but you might say something like, I've got this checklist on understanding whether your people understand business English legal terms in the US. Maybe you want to share it around your team.
Sure.
That's a kind of just off the hip, but at least you're kind of being relevant. You're being very specific to that person.
Yeah.
You're able to stand out, and you're definitely not going to be like the other 10 people that have asked, hey, can I have your business? Because I also teach business English.
Yeah. Very, very generic. You do want to, even when reaching out to people, cold prospecting, so to say, niche down. And it doesn't mean you're limiting yourself to one niche. You might have many different like departmental specific English programs, but then focus on the IT industry, then focus on the legal industry, then focus on, I don't know, the finance industry, and have a different messaging for each one of those.
That's right. Yeah, one niche at a time.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask one of the questions from David. I'm just going to try and understand a little bit. I'll read the whole thing through, and then we'll kind of try and simplify this. After watching the recordings on the LearnCube YouTube channel of a previous presentation on social media marketing, I think the effective, basically paraphrasing, Herbert, we talked a lot about using very authentic imagery with no text, for example. And he's like, hey, I saw something on another website that was really kind of pushing that actually social media marketing has a lot of text on images. And, they're a big company, so they must have a pretty good conversion rate. So how do you see that in terms of what you've observed, I guess?
Right. Well, these big companies spend a lot of money on social media marketing. Cambly, Duolingo, Babbel, all these kind of billion dollar companies. It doesn't necessarily mean that their marketing campaigns are effective in getting high conversion rates. It's just means that they're spending a lot of money. And I mean, when you look at the business model of a lot of these companies, it is customer acquisition at any cost. And they might even be losing money just to acquire a customer, a free customer, in the hope that in the future, that customer will sign up for a paid plan. So I know that a lot of these companies, they come out with, colorful graphics, a lot of text, sign up, learn Spanish in 2 months, et cetera, et cetera. And those kinds of ads can be effective with very specific offers, but they do get lost in this kind of pool of generic social media advertising. They all look the same. Cambly ads look the same as Duolingo and Babbel and all of the other ones. So to really stand out, to really kind of speak to your target audience, it is important to have authentic photos, creatives, videos, testimonials from real students, real teachers, or yourself, to kind of cut through all of that generic advertising. At the end of the day, unless you have hundreds and thousands of dollars and millions of dollars to spend on social media advertising, it's very difficult to compete or compare yourself against those other companies.
Yeah, I mean, one other reason they might be even using text is they might be more worried about impressions and branding, right? And so if you're doing that, then I want text because I want to be like conveying, hey, even if you don't click through, I want you to see that, I'm this.
It's just
and that's
brand
fine,
awareness.
but remembering that's expensive for a smaller business. So it may work, but it may not. But all we're saying is, look, Herbert's, this is his profession. From his own personal experience, he's seen a lot better conversions when you don't clutter up the image and you use very authentic ones. And would love you to, if you've got other ideas, please share them in, and would love to try them out. I've actually got a follow-on question about LearnCube, and I don't want to talk too much about LearnCube because this is a more, we kind of want to keep this sort of in the realm of like helping everybody, even if they're not using LearnCube. But the question was really like, how do we use our platform as our way of kind of presenting, hey, we're the business for you? And I think this is particularly like, how can we use LearnCube, the online school that they've got, to actually as a sales tool for getting more customers in the B2B realm? So I could talk to that, but also I'm curious, Herbert, as an outsider, do you have anything that you kind of see in terms of how do you use platforms to maybe position yourself in the market as a market leader or someone that invests in specialized tools to help people achieve better results?
Well, I think if you can offer, customers, a really seamless, branded experience, virtual learning experience, every single, from tutors to one-person language businesses to big language school networks are using Skype and Zoom, but that there's no differentiation there. But if you have your own ABC language school, for example, branded platform on LearnCube, that it shows that you are forward thinking, you're investing in the future, and it's important, for your language school to provide a very seamless experience for their customers. So I think it's such a great tool to have. And a huge add-on, a value add for language schools. I know that not all language schools can have the resources to do that, but I think, as soon as you get to a certain level, it's definitely worth looking at.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up as well, Paolo, because I was thinking about that today. For some reason, it just came into my mind. Like, we kind of also want to help people with resources to be able to, on-sell that value. So things that businesses really care about. Seamlessness, I'm glad you brought that up, Herbert, because when you're using something like LearnCube, let's just say it's not LearnCube, but it's something that you can brand. If it's your brand, then it already makes you stand out because it feels like you've invested in your business. It shows that you're at a status that can do that. So it kind of has all of these subtle meanings when you've got this platform that's under your own brand and feels cohesive. It's one place, and also reporting is the second kind of thing that I know is a big one for businesses. So you can be look, unlike, we're not patching together solutions. We've got a really good idea on attendance. So for example, in LearnCube, you can get automated attendance tracking. So if somebody turns up, unlike maybe in Zoom, they're kind of checking it off literally and physically, I don't know.
Sure.
But that's an important component there. And then I think also really pushing a pedagogical experience, really use it saying, hey, we know that there's video conferencing tools, but we also wanted to use a tool that actually made our teaching better. Your students are going to learn faster with us because we use these tools, and we use them in this way that's more sophisticated, not complex, but more sophisticated, and enables our teachers to teach more effectively. You could even talk about, and actually this is relevant to everybody here, whether you are a teacher or if you have teachers you employ. Like, we've got a free Udemy course. You can talk about how, the platform that you use, all the teachers are trained on it. Like, we actually have a free Udemy course where the teachers can train themselves. You don't even need to teach the teachers on how to use it. You can talk about simplicity. Again, it's one thing that businesses really care about, is simplicity and how intuitive it is. The business probably doesn't want to kind of have to figure it out. So you can talk about how, the platform you use is so much, it's really simple. It works straight through the web browser in our case. Again, I want to try and keep this a bit more generic, but using those value adds as part of your story for why you're an expert, why you're specialized, and why you've invested in delivering the best possible learning experience for your customers.
Definitely.
So I hope that answers your question a little bit, Paola, but let's see if we've got some more questions on marketing, and I'm happy to kind of follow up. Yeah, we've always got a universal question of where to find students. Can somebody give me maybe their market that they're focused on? So we've got yeah, basically something to bounce an idea against, whether it's a regional idea. Okay, perfect. Russia. This is a good one. So if I was
Russia.
a language school looking to get into Russia, how about that, Herbert? We've got a B2C in
B2C
Russia.
Russia. Okay, got it. Yeah, well, I know from personal experience running campaigns in Russia and in the Ukraine and in Kazakhstan and the Russian speaking countries. It is a very, very, very different market. I have done the campaigns, or I'm running campaigns for an English school through Facebook and Instagram. That they're quite successful, but I do know that there are better social media platforms, such as I think VK and Telegram, where you have the possibility of also advertising or creating some other groups or things like that. So it is much different to running Facebook ads or running Google ads. But at least we have been successful after a lot of testing and refining the audience, as well as having to have everything translated into Russian, of course, from the ad copy to the landing page to all the marketing communication. We tried English ads first, didn't work. So yeah, you've definitely got to be aware of course, the market you're marketing to, and if you need to have everything in their native language.
Yeah, it sounds pretty spot on, Herbert. To be honest, you're going to have much better and more specific knowledge of this. I think just again, being very aware of the cultural differences. So getting a straight translation. I don't know how your experience was, Herbert, but I'm pretty sure you needed a cultural translation as well as a visual translation.
It was a cultural translation.
Yeah.
Just translating it on Google. I mean, sure, it's the easiest way, but you really need someone who knows kind of how that market kind of ticks and their behaviors and how they use the language is much different to English. So getting cultural translations is very important.
I'm curious actually, Herbert. You've probably approached and literally would have done A/B testing on similar kind of techniques that we literally talked about before, which was on using authentic images and the way that you write. Did you notice any major differences on how you, like the tactics you used, or was it mainly around the language and cultural context that you took?
It was both. So it was around the language. So we had to adjust the ad copy quite substantially, as well as test out different images. And of course the images that worked in other markets, some of them worked in Russia, but some didn't, and some other images which were I thought would have worked better. So and I know that applies to a lot of markets, especially for example like Japan, South Korea, completely different again to Russia or Europe. Text, they love text in ads, for example, and it has to be colorful and lots of emojis or characters and stuff like that. The normal ads that I would usually run with very disguised as a friend's post with an authentic image didn't perform as well. So it's really about testing and also having an awareness of the cultural subtleties of the market you're trying to target.
Herbert, can I just clarify that again? You mentioned authentic images worked either way, but am I right that what were the cultures that were okay with having more text and kind of imagery and color and kind of in a Western culture might consider clutter in those images? And which were the markets that were more kind of, I guess, traditional and what we would understand sort of off the bat?
Right. So the Middle East and Southeast Asia and North Asia, so Japan and South Korea, as well as most Southeast Asian countries, text was better performed much better than in the other markets. My way of doing it, which is through authentic images and videos, works very well in more Western cultures. So in Europe, even in Latin America, the US, Canada, Australia, etc.
Fantastic insights. Thank you so much for that, Herbert. We're out of time, but I did want to give Danilo just a quick kind of heads up. Danilo's school is in Italy. It's really a school of languages, and it's one of those common instances that we have, which is we've got a great reputation. We're really well known in our small little place, but I'm worried because in a way, there's a big market out there. How are we going to be able to compete with everybody if we're what we consider a small school?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the fantastic thing is that you already have an excellent reputation in your region. And my advice always for schools like yours is to expand that region gradually. So, for example, if you're in a small town of 50,000 people, then target the surrounding towns. And then once that's successful, once you're able to capture customers from there, then expand to different regions of Italy, and of course, then the whole of Italy. That would be my first suggestion. My second suggestion is, since you're an English school in Italy, is to target Italians living abroad in English-speaking countries. For example, the US or in the UK or Australia, you have that Italian, that home advantage. You can run ads in Italian. You know how they think, how they react, and a lot of people, especially non-native, non-English speakers, they like to have that home connection because they feel that they can go back on it if they need some help and they can ask a question in Italian. I think that's personally what I would do, is start regionally first. So expand your radius until you're doing the whole of Italy, and then, or in conjunction, is to target Italians living abroad.
Great advice, Herbert. I think also just some comfort. You don't need the whole world to be your customer.
Don't. You don't. I mean, again, unless you have millions and hundreds and thousands of dollars of marketing budget, you shouldn't do that, because you are,
Yeah, but I mean, if you just put into percentage, like I was actually just out of my own interest, like, if you're a private tutor, you might only need 20 people out of the entire world, so you don't need to be generalist to be able to get those 20. If you're a small school, you don't need, maybe you're quite happy with 200 students, no problem.
Yeah,
you can get 200 students. If you're looking for 2 million students, you're going to have a different strategy, but again, we'd be having a different conversation. So don't be worried about how small or big you are. There are opportunities and trade-offs on both of those. But we've enjoyed helping you, I hope, today. We'll be back here again next Thursday, so tune in. I will be trying to break this into a YouTube video, so you can see that in the LearnCube YouTube channel, and we'll continue the conversation. Until next time.
Great. Thanks, Alex.
See you all.
Bye.